Good evening and welcome to the Public Work Committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. And we're going to start the meeting at 7:35 p.m. Okay, and we're going to forego the silent meditation and pledge of allegiance since we already had it. And so, Madam Clerk, please may I have a roll call?
Roll call, Chair Perella,
Here.
Vice Chair Nickerson,
Here.
Member Martin.
Here.
Also present for the record, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, Councilperson Erbach, Jenny Jacoby, Village Clerk, Christy Evans, Village Manager, and Attorney Rock in representation of Joseph Miller.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Now, before getting the approval, I'm going to add and acknowledge the a visitor. Can we add Laura Hill is here from Pesticide Free Miami. She's going to, tell us some good things about how to control and not using the harm pesticides and stuff like that. So can we add that? Can I get a motion to add that to the agenda?
So, Mr. Chair, you want to add that to under F, acknowledgement of visitors and special presentation?
Yes.
Okay,
That'll be
no
good.
problem. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
Okay, can I get a second? A motion was made by Mayor Nickerson to add the presentation for visitor Pesticide Free Miami. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilperson Martin. Madam Clerk, do I need to get a roll call for that? No? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, so we go right in. Thank you, guys. So let's go into good and welfare. If there's any member of the public or anybody wants to say anything, this is time to do it. We'll have another one at the end of the meeting, right? So any additions or deletions to the agenda, everything's fine.
Mr. Chair, do you want to approve the minutes? Or
There's no minutes to be approved. There's
So-
no minutes.
so
So it's
next-
something that we have to be keep working on.
Next committee
Yeah.
meeting, I'm pretty sure they'll be available for you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thanks.
So you want to move to our visitor? We want to acknowledge our visitor? We're on F?
I'm sorry?
We're on
Yeah,
F?
the acknowledgement of the visitor, F1, right?
Aquí moviste para este.
Okay.
Just say your name and address for the record. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Is it okay if I take my mask off when I talk?
No. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Hi, my name is Laura Hill, and I live at 13075 Griffin Boulevard in the city of North Miami, Florida, 33161. And I want to thank you so much for inviting me here today to speak to your village about municipal pesticide use. In 2017, the city of North Miami became the first city in the South to pass a municipal ban on pesticide. And that came after a couple years of work on my behalf, and I was able to get a councilman, who's now our mayor, to put the motion forth in our city. And I didn't set out to be an anti-pesticide advocate, but I was a brand new mother. And I was walking with my stroller down my street, and we have several pocket parks in my neighborhood. And those pocket parks are maintained by the City of North Miami Public Works and a couple contractors as well. And I had just happened to see somebody who was wearing what I would call a hazmat suit spraying the park. And then he got in his car and left, and I walked by and thought, he was dressed very protective, and I am not. And I have a new baby. and I don't know what he just sprayed. But he knew he needed to protect himself to spray it. And there was no sign left. There was no indication of what chemicals were being sprayed. So using my paralegal prowess, I went and asked the city via a public records what they spray and why. And it took several months to get the list. And when I did get the list, I was shocked. There was probably about 30 to 40 different types of chemicals. When I looked up what chemicals they were, a lot of them had been banned in California since the early 90s. Major countries had banned it. This was a little bit prior to the big explosion in news about Roundup. It was just starting to come to the mainstream. So I spent a couple hundred hours researching every single chemical. There was one in particular that had me horrified, that if you take a large concentration of this popular pesticide, it will make male frogs ovulate. And so obviously, I was concerned. There's a lot of issues that we don't know a lot about, like autism, infertility, and those types that also lymphoma, that we don't know for sure what is causing them, but we do know for sure that those are becoming more and more prevalent. And so I started looking around and seeing what communities had taken on pesticides, and started talking and educating my council and my fellow residents about the use. And as I was very shocked and disappointed to find out what they were spraying, so were the masses in the constituency in North Miami. Did take a couple years for me to get somebody to bite on the legislation, but eventually Philip Bieneme, who's the mayor now, he decided to go ahead and do it. And I asked him one day, after I'd spoke to him several times, sent him a document of maybe 300 pages of research, tagged him on every pesticide thing on Facebook available. I asked him, why did you finally decide to go for this? And he said, I was sitting at a fundraiser to raise awareness for cancer that he holds every year, shooting for a cure, and he just kept thinking about how much effort people put into awareness for cancer, and yet we don't give consideration about some of the root causes of some of these diseases and how we can get them out of our communities. And he finally kind of made that connection. And when they brought this resolution, which I did bring a copy for everybody, initially, I think there was some sort of thought that eliminating pesticides from our community is a fringe environmental thing. However, the resolution passed unanimously and every district wanted it because nobody wanted to be the only one that was being dumped in toxic chemicals. And so we began our journey with non-toxic landscape maintenance of our municipality. And it is a journey, I'll tell you. And Miami Shores just passed their resolution as well. So what it is it's called an integrated pest management system. This is an alternative to the daily use of pesticides in our municipal governing. And the more I learned about pesticide use, the more I think that it's a lot like antibiotics. If you go every single day of your life and take an antibiotic, when you get sick, it's not going to work. And it's probably going to have an adverse effect on your body. Now, there are times where you need to get an infection under control, and there's sometimes in our municipal governing where we need to use something harsher than other products that are less toxic, that are organic and biodegradable. An integrated pest management system changes the way we look at municipal landscaping. It's kind of starts with the soil. And it starts with the right plants. A lot of times we plant things in our community medians that are cluster, they're exotic plants. They're not native. And as such, they attract exotic pests. And there's no natural way to combat it. For instance, a native plant may get aphids, but there's always a native predator for those aphids. So instead of planting a bunch of crotons that we have to spray with pesticide just to get them to live, we decide, well, we're not going to do that. We're not going to plant things that get infested that we have to spend a lot of money on to spray, and potentially could be getting our employees, our children, our animals sick. In addition to keeping people healthy and safe, we have an obligation as waterway communities not to keep flushing toxic pesticides and fertilizers down our storm drains, which then empty out into our canals, which empty out into the Biscayne Bay. It will take all of us to stop polluting the Biscayne Bay. We all benefit from it, and that is one of the reasons why people love Miami. But we don't live in little islands of ourselves. When North Miami sprays pesticide and herbicides and then it rains, all of that gets washed into our storm drains, and it goes down the same canals that Miami Lakes is doing, Opelika, Miami Gardens, and it's exponential. We have to stop, each of us as municipalities, participating in the degradation of the bay, and toxic chemicals in our municipal landscaping are a major component of that. So the first year, I was so thrilled, but the employees were not. I had just taken their tools away from them and not giving them anything in exchange. So this is a very common theme in municipal landscaping, getting off of the traditional ways and going into non-toxic, is called organic by neglect. That is not the goal. The goal isn't to take your tools away and not be able to control weeds, especially along fence lines, things like that. There are amazing products right now that are non-toxic, biodegradable, and actually work. North Miami has moved past the stage of organic by neglect, meaning we just don't do anything, into using some of these products that are available and working really well. Our city does not look more trashy because we're not using pesticide. And that is something residents are very, very vocal about if your city doesn't look kept up. So there are a lot of really great products that we can switch to. There's huge amount of support out there to help municipalities find the right products. One thing we found was we were given extraordinary amounts of free products to try. Non-toxic neighborhoods has come out several times for us to do soil testing and different things like that to see what our soil needs to have a natural resilience against pest infestations. And training, I know El Portal only has one, I believe, person who does the landscaping, but bringing them into a new generation, new era of municipal landscaping is actually very rewarding for some of the longtime employees. So, and I'm going to tell you too, is I've had more than one person who works in public works come up to me and thank me because they were so worried that they'd end up with lymphoma or something else as a byproduct of their working years for the city of North Miami. Like I said, it was amazing, the reaction when we did this, and Miami Shores quickly adopted it as well, and Hollandale has. We have the mass potential to become the green corridor of Miami-Dade, of North Dade. And it would be great if El Portal would participate in this program as well, and I would be thrilled to help kind of hold your hand through the different stages so you don't have to kind of go through what we went through with a little bit of uncertainty on how to implement this sort of change. I think that's kind of covers what I have to say. I'm passionate about it because I'm passionate about the waterways. I'm passionate about children. And it's simple. Eliminate the need for pesticide by planting the right plants in the right place. And then if you have to use it, It's in a very acute way. For instance, there's times where you may need to get control of a infestation, and it is fine to use a product that's harsher, but we're not doing it every single day where it's getting into our waterway. So, and if we do use it, you will see signs. It'll show exactly what pesticide was used, the name, and any other instructions. That way, if a young mother goes walking down the street, she can turn around when she sees it's going to make her sons ovulate. So, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, thank you for it. As soon as you started to speak, I pulled up what you guys did there. What is it, 2017?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. As soon as you started to speak, I pulled it up and I saw what you guys had to go through. I don't know if you saw me looking back at the computer, and I looked back at you, looked back at the computer, because I was looking at exactly what you guys did from beginning to end. Before you even gave us that, it starts off inspired by San Francisco.
Yes.
North Miami hopes to reduce pesticide use. And you even spoke about how you were talking about, I think Ron Platt was talking about the weeds.
Yep.
And he was saying that we're not trying to get rid of, we're not trying to keep the weeds or not get rid of the weeds, but we're trying to do it in a safer way. I had a couple questions, and I like to see when you guys have in your resolution where the word says applications on city property to reduce pesticide applications on city property to the maximum extent feasible. Because my question was going to be, do you guys penalize residents?
No.
Okay.
This only applies to municipal use.
That's right.
I do believe, but I would have to double check, that there is a preemption on banning pesticide for consumer use from Tallahassee. But this only applies to municipal property. People are able to choose if they want to use it in their own yards. However, we set an example as a municipality, and we educate people on, better choices for their own personal use. But you can still buy it at Home Depot in North Miami.
Yeah, okay, that was my first question, which I like to hear, because, sometimes you don't want big government kind of reaching into the homes of private individuals.
Sure.
And so you're only talking about the property, like, for example, for El Portal, we'd be talking about the property around the Village Hall, basically.
Parks and the parks.
And the parks.
Yeah, the parks.
Well, we don't own the parks, though.
Yeah, well, in Sherwood Forest we do, and
Sure, but not the other.
And that's a good thing, because we actually, as we went around the parks with Neat Miami, that was one of their suggestions, just to use native plants.
Yeah, native plants really don't require
Yeah.
pesticide. And, you'd be surprised. I know I was surprised
I
when...
do have them in my house. I have all
Oh,
native
wonderful.
plants.
I do
yes.
too. I'm a
I don't
native
I don't
plant
use
enthusiast.
pesticides, so yeah.
Yeah, the butterflies and the birds and things like that, which is also very charming for your own municipality. That's something that I think with the bird sanctuary and sort of the aesthetic of El Portal, it could actually bring more people here. The other thing is in terms of budgets, the city of North Miami had been spending an enormous amount of money on pesticides, and the organic products are not cheap, but one idea that I really want to bring in to fruition, and I'm also a candidate for office in North Miami. So one thing I would really like to do is figure out a way, if El Portal goes organic, Biscayne Park, North Miami, and Miami Shores, if we can maximize our purchasing power as a group of municipalities to lower the costs of organic products.
Right.
It further helps brand us all as the Green Corridor as well.
Yeah, I saw that Biscayne Park, even they mentioned themselves in this article. They commented about themselves. Did they actually end up adopting also?
Not yet,
Not
but
yet?
they will soon.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know
I
they're
saw their
extremely
interest.
interested.
Yeah,
They're
that's
a
it.
lot like
Yep.
El Portal in my experience in terms of the value of open green spaces, health, and environmentalism.
Yeah, I saw their interest in here. My last question, Mr. Chair, is the IPM program guidelines. When you guys, as far as just off of the top of your head, when you think about the IPM program guidelines, were there any of those guidelines that you guys had pushback from when it came to the residents? Is there anything in those guidelines that's really stringent that you guys have problems with? Or?
You know, it's kind of what you make of it. The San Francisco model is way more complex than our use will ever be by nature of the size of our cities. So San Francisco had a lot of highway, and one of their biggest problems is a plant called Scotch broom. And if you've been in California, you see it growing on the sides of the highways. It's a huge problem in terms of wildfires. So they were using a lot of toxic pesticide along the sides of the highways, and you have to do sort of a cost-benefit analysis when you come to those sorts of situations, because the result of wildfires is so devastating, and the time it takes to hand weed or use these products that aren't as aggressive on those things would be outside of the scope of the IMP. So, you know, there's common sense involved, and but that's not really the reality of our village, of this village and the city of North Miami. We did have pushback from some of the employees who said, I don't know how to get grass out of the fence lines. Fence lines are particularly obnoxious, and that's why they use Roundup so frequently for that. But a vinegar-based anti-herbicide or an herbicide has worked fabulously. It's just about finding the right product, which is so helpful when non-toxic neighborhoods and different groups will give you some samples. And we're not talking like little shampoo bottles. We're talking nice, sizable samples you can use over several months and see what works for our climate. Yeah. There was confusion over where this implements, if it's for consumers. No, it also does not have anything to do with the aerial spraying for mosquitoes or infectious diseases of any kind. That's a county program. They will still spray.
Thank
Just
you
like
very
they
much.
do with the canal, that they come
Well,
and
the
spray.
canal,
Yeah.
yes, and I would really
The
like.
Little River, yeah.
Yeah, Little River, and same with the Biscayne Canal, and that's something I'm trying to approach is how can we get the South Florida Department of Water Management to stop doing that? That is absolutely a huge contributor to the problems in the Biscayne Bay, and it's constant. So that's a goal.
Yeah. Well,
That's a
thank
goal.
you. Thank you for all your
Thank
work,
you.
and thank you for what
Great,
you did. Thank you,
great.
Mr.
Thank
Chair.
for-
I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Chair.
Anybody else have any questions? Any members of the council? Vice Mayor Nickers? Anders? Oh, okay. Okay, so anybody from the council has any questions? You know?
Is it time
Oh.
to sit down?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll close it to the council and open it to the public. If any member from the public have any questions for Mrs. Laura Hill, or any comments?
Anders Zerbaum, 460 Northeast 89th Street, also Vice Mayor of El Portal. I invited Laura Hill to come because I feel strongly about this. I'd like to say in terms of, banning what private residents do, it may be a possibility where we talk about banning specific chemicals, right? Where we might have a list of chemicals that might be banned, and I'm sure Greenspoon Martyr will help us navigate if that's possible. But that might be an avenue. Instead of saying residents can't hire a pesticide company to come and spray, maybe we try and gain some control over what chemicals could be sprayed. Because I'm going to relate this to food. I always do. I worked in food service for 25 years. So GMOs, all right? So the reason I eat organic is because what people don't understand about GMOs is that you might have a problem that they tinkered with the DNA, right? But if you don't have a problem with they tinkered with the DNA, you should still be asking yourself, why are they tinkering with the DNA? And the answer is so that they can pair that crop with an herbicide or a pesticide that will kill everything else except for that crop. And then you eat processed foods that are made with that crop. And years later you find out you are not that crop because that pesticide that was used to make that processed food is now trying to kill you. And that's how that works. And so that's real. It happens every single day, and that is why I eat organic. But in terms of pesticide and herbicide, once it gets into the environment, many of these chemicals remain for long periods of time and do generational damage. So I'll just add that.
Well, thank you. Mr. Anders? Okay, anybody else? I have.
Councilwoman Anna Lightfoot Ward, thank you very much. I have asthma. My husband makes all of our stuff naturally. It's real easy. Everything you see growing around there is natural, because I am asthmatic. And I think this is very timely. I know you're only talking about the municipality, but maybe we can go a little bit further, Mayor, and say, you know, join the parade, join the wagon, everybody, and think about, we've got children and grandchildren in the village. You got little bitty people in the village, and I'm glad it's something that's rolling. If we can be called the green, what you call that? The green, the green corridor of North Dade, I'm in. Because, listen, it wouldn't take but a blow, and I'd be trying to struggle to breathe. So I like this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Orr. Anybody else from the public? Any questions? Okay, closing public comments. Going back to the council. Is it something that you guys, do we have, Mayor, if you can help me here. Is this, or
So,
do I get a motion to move these to full council?
so, Mr. Chair, if I may?
Go ahead.
Are you trying to look for a motion to move the resolution but change the language from everywhere where it says North Miami to El Portal, but keep the same resolution and move that to full council?
Yes, correct.
Is that the motion you're trying to make?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move this particular resolution, changing the language from North Miami to El Portal to the full council.
Thank you, Mayor. Do I get a motion? Do I get a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, I got a motion made by Mayor Nickerson, second by Councilwoman Martin. All in favor say aye.
Let's do a roll call on this.
Oh,
Mr.
roll call,
Mr.
Madam
Chair.
Clerk, sorry.
Member Martin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nickerson,
Yes.
Chair Perrella.
Yes,
Motion passes 3-0.
perfect. Thank you, guys. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Lara Hill. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Mr.
Now
Chair,
we're gonna go to, thank you. Now we're gonna move into the tracking report, right? And there's a few items there. Mostly a few of the items were actually
discuss, are you trying to?
discussed in the council meeting, past council meeting. If, Madam Manager, if you can come to the podium and update us on, I know the pothole work started, and we finally chose one-stop paving to the potholes. And if you can, update us a little bit on what,
Surely, I am pleased to announce, we see some
Yes.
people out there, fixing the roads. They started this morning, and it looks good. I'm happy to see it, and it's been a big effort. I understand it's happening on the west side as well as the east side, so they're doing it simultaneously. And I'm happy with the work. So far, so good. So, it's a win for all of us. So thank you all for your support, Chair Perrella, and for everyone on the council, too, who's really, pushed to make this happen and for getting it started and choosing the right people. So we're excited. And, we're looking forward to what comes next with our little funding that we can do to have a positive impact on the village and kind of fix some of these things. that
Some of
need
these things,
repair.
yeah. Perfect. Yeah, thank you. That's great to hear. Yeah, it's been so long to try to get this fixed. That is wonderful to have at least some positive stuff going with this, and safety issue, like healthy, issue with residents and all of that. So that's great. And so we have here the storm water drainage project, which we had a conversation about it. You know, we finally got the,
Yes,
If
we
you
got
can talk about
the grant application in, and it's been signed, the agreement has been signed by me and by FDP, so we will commence the work on that. That's the El Jardín project, so that those funds will be coming in, and we'll start working on that, which is another positive, you know.
Right.
We're taking things off of our list and getting projects started, so lots of good things happening with that, too. Yes, so the Stormwater El Jardín project is about to begin. We'll be doing the necessary RFPs and working with our contractor, Craig A. Smith and Associates Engineers, to start that work.
yeah, also the parks, as you mentioned in your past report, we're still waiting for the deeds and to have a master plan to work on the beautification of the parks and
Yes.
utilize some of the money that we have to fix them. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just have a little snag with the county, but we're on our way. I've made a lot of inroads with county department that's, working with me to get those right-of-ways turned into play streets. The right-of-ways are the River Estates Park, as well as the nature trail. So again, I'm still working on some of the legalities for that, but in terms of being activated and starting to work on the planning, the Miami-Dade County Parks and Rec Department is assisting with that. And we're utilizing their architects to assist us with all the planning, and that will be free to us as a village. So that's a valuable resource in our effort. I gave a presentation to the South Florida Parks Coalition last week, and garnered even more support and just insight from larger areas, larger departments, larger municipalities who thought we had a good project and wanted to, give some best practices. So we're well on our way with the parks as well. And I'll be providing a report as soon as I'm further along in the process with the right-of-ways.
perfect.
Chair Perella, can I just chime in, or?
Sure, go ahead.
Any one of
if
these?
you have anything to say.
'Cause
Yes.
I did have a question about, just like logistically, does the village have a 501c3 designation?
No.
Is that something that we can have someone look into doing so that we can be more aggressive as far as seeking out grants that are available? Because one grant that I know that is out there could probably assist us with some things for the tot lot. I don't know how everybody else feels about the tot lot, but I'm just having two very small kids. There are certain things that could be updated, certain things that could be safer out there, and I know that there is probably funding for us if we had a 501c3 designation.
Okay. Yes, actually, the tot lot is on our inventory. All of the parks would be renovated. All of the
Okay.
equipment, everything is to be renovated.
And we would be
everything.
paying for that out of the city's pocket?
Well,
No.
there are some opportunities. I know Councilperson Perella and I met with Miami-Dade County almost a year ago and went through this whole process of the updates, and they identified some resources that we could utilize. There will be some out-of-pocket expenses.
Okay.
But in terms of any grant opportunities you know about, yes, I would.
No, I
love to-
definitely know of
Yeah,
it
we
and wouldn't
need
have a
to tap
problem
into every resource
connecting you
available.
guys as well, so.
That-
But we
that-
would have to be a 501c3, we would have to have that designation, which we can get if we just create something for the limited purpose of seeking out charitable donations. Because usually a municipality can't have that designation,
Right.
but if
Right.
you do that, we can get around it that way. So,
Oh,
and that's something that would be awesome for me to see, because I would love for my little boys to play on it.
Okay.
Great, so,
Well,
we'll
let's
look.
look into it.
I'll send you some.
I'm
Manager,
always
if you
open
can look
for,
into
some kind of assistance with the resources,
Okay,
in kind or,
Oh.
manpower, whatever it takes.
it sounds good.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great. So is it something that, that needs to be brought up to any,
Admin and finance, if we want to do
Finance.
501c3. I mean, I would have to look into what that entails, and then maybe we can
Perfect,
discuss in
thanks.
admin and finance.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, because some of the funds that we have to beautify the parks is the funds that we got from the Cavista project.
Okay.
So that's where we had a conversation with Miami, Miami, and most of the stuff in Tot Lot is very expensive.
Yeah. I mean, more money is
Extremely-
never a problem. So if we can have that in addition to some
Right.
grant funding, then hopefully we can create something that's,
Yeah.
really special all over the
Perfect.
city. Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Perfect, beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Okay, that's that with the parks and the lighting. The lightings, I know I had mentioned to the manager about probably getting these the Citizens Crime Watch, maybe the captains, and then the resiliency task force members, some of them, to have a meeting with FBL. And I don't know if you mentioned we were having a meeting. You were having a meeting at the end of the month or something like that.
Yes. with
And
the-
so that'll be a good opportunity to probably, have Mr. Lasso, which is the one from FBL that's helping us with the lighting. And so we can all finally understand what is it, that we can do. Because
Yes.
there's some people a little hesitant about, lighting being so bright and the wildlife and, and all of that. But those are the only two options we have, so we have to,
Excuse me, Chair Perrell, I
Go ahead.
did make a call to Mr. Lazo. I haven't heard back, but I did request a community meeting for
okay.
him to have that discussion.
Yeah, and then we have talked about having the workshop so we can actually just go ahead and get a green light to change the lighting. So that's the next step. Okay, so anybody else from the committee has any questions?
I have one
Mayor?
additional question. So excuse me if so this is my first, so
Yeah,
I could be
go
going
ahead.
over some
No
stuff
problem.
that you guys, already nixed, so let me know. The intern pilot program for Public Works, I was looking at that earlier, thought that was interesting, and wanted to know if we had any sort of standing arrangement with any local universities to acquire interns, not only for Public Works, but maybe some that could help out with some administrative matters as well. Do we have that?
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mayor.
No, I was just going to say that the individual who began that intern program is sitting right out there, from former councilperson Dreyer. And we did have a connection through FIU. I know COVID's changed a lot of things and things like that. But as far as the update, though, we don't have.
No.
It started and it was implemented, but then I'm not sure why it was implemented, and then it came to the point to where we were due to have somebody like that next semester, and Councilperson Dreyer, I don't know, if you can speak on it, because it was his program, so he knows the details of it. So
Perfect. So this
Yeah.
is very fortuitous that you're in the
Just
audience.
so I can let you know, this
Okay.
this predates my tenure as village manager.
Okay.
So when I came on board, we.
So we're both about to get the deets.
Well, no, I know about it. It's
Okay.
just that it was a
Before-
while ago. I've been
okay.
here 3.5 years.
Yeah,
so
that,
maybe
this was
or
supposed to
former
get
councilperson
off
Bill
the
talked
tracking
about
report list.
Okay.
It's just that we've, this is the old one.
So can we have former Councilman
So,
Dreyer?
yeah, I'll open it to the public. Ms. Dreyer, if you can come up to the podium.
My name is Warner Dreyer, 486 Northeast 87th Street. Thanks for inquiring about that, Councilperson Martin. It was a program we started with the former manager, David Roseman. So we, Mayor Nickerson, we had sourced with FIU. We had reached out to the Career Resource Center, and they were so gung-ho with, definitely having the city offer such a program. So it would be just reinstating that with the Career Resource Center at FIU or the University of Miami, right? But the most response we got was from FIU. So we got 3 candidates, right? Obviously, we were limited in budget, so we were sort of like looking for, no fees, right? No salary, but who knows, maybe this year or the upcoming budget, we can get some monies for it. So the intent was to help out at that time, David Roseman, right, with the public works activities. I know he had some internal organization within he needed to, so we felt that was like the first stepping stone to prior deciding whether we needed a public works director. Because at that time frame, there was a few folks that were expressing their interest in pursuing with the public works director. So we felt that was like the first step. Let's see how this works out, and then we can evaluate. So that's where we're at that time frame. We even have a job description, everything. I'm not sure. I think you might not have it. No? Okay. I thought that was part of your turnover with David at that time. Did you guys have a turnover with David Roseman? I did. Yes. Okay, let me see if I can find the job description and I can forward it to you.
That would be great. And I also want to know what steps we need to take to reinstate the program or just kind of flesh it out. Is that something that, like, who would be in charge of making the contacts and figuring out?
The village manager.
Okay. Okay. Well, I would love for you to do that, but I also have graduated from FIU, UM, Miami-Dade, UF, so I can reach out to some of my contacts as well and kind of put you in directly with someone who might be helpful on that end, instead of you just kind of calling out to career services, because sometimes they're not as responsive as you would like them to be. So,
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Sure.
Yeah, I was just going to say it could be, but it doesn't have to be the village manager. Because like Councilperson Dreyer, he did it himself. So
I have no problem being the
if
person to do that and then come back the next our next meeting and kind of let you know what I've been able to suss out and if people are interested, which I imagine that they are. Because I remember when I was in school, just wanting an opportunity to do some cool projects. So that might be helpful. And thanks for starting the program.
No, you're welcome.
Makes sense.
It's a group effort because everybody had input. Mayor Nickerson at that time, everybody provided input in the job description. So let me see within my records if I still have that job description Word document, and I'll forward it to you guys.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Great.
Great to know that.
Well, thank you.
All right. I have more questions though on the first topic, but I'll go sit down and well.
Go ahead, and this is not
Mr. Chairman, before he changes, you know what? If I remember right, there was a group of you all that always had these innovative ideas about engaging the colleges. I'm like you. I went to all of those too, except University of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always opportunity. We may need to flush that out a little bit better for the new ideas that still are relevant. And those of us that went to school, know that we always wanted projects.
Always.
Always.
And this is a great way to force multiply and not have to expend really any money.
That's right.
Yeah, I went to UF and
Go Gators.
I'm a Gator, so I had my own school project, so I was always looking for internships, school projects, so that's why.
Perfect.
I'm a Panther.
perfect.
Go Panthers.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Dreyer. You said you had a question about a previous topic that we had. Okay.
So the first question is, I'm looking at the tracking report, but I think you guys are looking at something different, right, than what was put out there, just to confirm? Because right? Okay.
Yeah, we're just not going in order as it was something that it was
just
like.
the order? Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Go ahead.
Okay, and no, that's fine. I can follow through. Yeah, And then the first item, thank you very much for moving forward with potholes, Mayor Nickerson, for putting it into the February agenda. Madam Mayor, thank you very much for contacting the vendors. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be happy with that. And good to know that we started today, right? But can you provide more like a sort of a time frame? How's, this is going to be completed by when, right? Sort of more info on that. Okay, awesome, great. That was it then. Thanks very much.
And Councilperson Perella, thank you very much for your work on
And
that.
Councilperson Perella for putting together the inventory.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know
You're
you
welcome.
spotted a lot of
Thank you.
nuances.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, close public comments. Now going back to council, and yeah, as we go, again, the tracking report, the one that was sent out was talking about village traffic calming, which I think that was a part of the public safety, right? And the stormwater project, we already spoke about, potholes, and engine pilot program, just went over. Thank you, Mr. Martin, for that. That'll be great. And we, as far as parks, we have the tot lot improvements, sea walls, and the dog park was actually, we talked about moving that as far, with, include that with the parks and all of that. The tot lot is gonna remain closed, right? As we know, there's nothing have changed. Nothing changed about that. And so, let's see, the landscape, sewer, and that's pretty much the tree trimming. Because I know, manager, you had said something about opening a bidding to get a new company, for landscaping company to come and since we approaching the, rainy season and hurricane and all of that good stuff, are we going through that process, or are we keeping one man, working man? Because I know you were like, they weren't being too responsive about it. We had some problem with the trimming of the trees when hurricane season came, right?
Well, actually, they're very responsive for the regular stuff.
Mhm.
By the way, they don't use pesticides.
Yeah, perfect, if you can come to the point.
Sorry about that.
No, mine they don't work. So, I apologize for that. The landscapers are very good. They're responsive, but the tree trimming part of it, was taken forever last season. So yes, I was considering doing an RFP and trying to get that, but we've had so many other priorities happening lately that I just haven't had an opportunity to work on an RFP for that. But, that is still on my list of needs, and I will, address that. But if it so happens that we come up on June, I hope it doesn't get that far out. But if it does, they are poised to do our tree trimming again as they do every June. But I do want to do at some point an RFP for all of our landscaping. And as I mentioned back there, they don't use pesticides. We haven't used pesticides in a number of years, from what I understand. But we, support no chemical use. And we also do reporting for our MPDES, which is, we had a training here on Friday afternoon. Staff is required to report pollution and also not use chemicals. So I'll do a little research, because I think we did pass a resolution, but we were required to, by law, or by the agreement with the state government to do that. So I'll give a report on that so that you're all brought up to speed on that as well.
Perfect, thank you. And if you can stay over there, and you can help me with the rest of the tracking report,
sorry.
because
Well,
thank
I
you.
brought the one that.
Yeah, because this is the old one, and some of the stuff was already, inactive, and we were trying to actually delete it from the tracking report. I know there's an item there that says it's a Northwest 3rd Avenue landscaping that was removed, right, from the new
Yes.
tracking report.
Yes.
About the medians on North Miami Avenue. That's something to do with the state, with the city,
Right,
with the
that's-
county.
Yes, yeah, that's already,
So that's that, and I just, I think it was, we were talking about the Little Farm, right? Being now, since it's been annexed to it, and
sorry,
so there's not, we already have the cleaning of the surrounding.
about the code,
the
that was
little-
code enforcement, I know, which is coming
Okay.
up, but we, yeah, it's already, they're working on the cleanup.
So nothing to do with the public works, okay, so that, I think, will conclude the tracking report for Public Works. And if there's any comments, any questions? Go
So
ahead.
y'all are gonna have to excuse me on this procedural stuff, but I do just want to make sure that in the Admin and Finance Committee, we will discuss applying for a 501c3 for the city. Do we need to do anything special to move that, or how do I know that it's gonna appear at the Admin and Finance?
I mean, I'm definitely going to put it on.
Perfect.
So, as a matter of fact, I already put it in the admin and finance.
If
folder.
you say it, I know it's not.
I got you.
And I
But-
also,
But if you want to do for the record, we could do an all in favor aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if you want to ask for a motion to move that to the admin and finance committee meeting, we could do for a motion a second, and all in favor say aye.
And, yes,
So we
and
have it for
if
the
you
record.
can
move it?
mention that motion, go ahead and say what the motion is.
Oh, great. I'd like to make a motion to bring up in the Admin and Finance Committee the possibility of the city applying for 501c3 designation so that we can aggressively pursue charitable donations that are available.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Perfect, I had a second from Mayor Nickerson. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? All good, okay, so
And
motion passed.
I also have one more thing. I just wanted to say thank you to the manager. My pothole was being filled this morning. Everyone on my block was very thankful. We know that you have a lot on your plate and you're working hard, but thank you so much for making that happen very quickly. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
Perfect, and as far as, because I don't know why it was written, I wrote here about the little farm. I don't know, I probably it's more about code enforcement, because I was reading our charter, and it says about recreational vehicles and trailers and RVs and all of that, and that's the only area that's actually exempt for all of that, because it was a trailer park. So we might need to then go back, revise it, and lawyer, I know we have a representative here from Green Spoon, and I don't know if it's something that we have to strike from the,
Well, I think once it's further along in the process, it's a planning and zoning.
or
matter
exactly,
about
planning
what
and
the use
zoning,
will
or,
be
yeah,
for it,
okay,
so.
good, perfect, thank you. Okay, so I guess there's, like I said, I think that will conclude the Public Works Committee meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, open it to the public, and if you can come to the podium, Mr. Chair.
So, Mr. Chair, before Councilperson Dreyer speaks, so we want to acknowledge that we don't have any unfinished business and general orders, and we want to acknowledge that we don't have any new business so that we can move to good and welfare, Mr. Chair.
Okay, perfect, so that's great, thank you, Mayor. So we don't do no unfinished business, right? Any new business? No? Okay, so let's open it to the, now we go into good and welfare, and open to the public, Mr. Dreyer?
Two
Yes.
questions. On the top lot, on the gate, Christia, village manager, I know there was a missing bar there. If you don't mind just providing a quick update. And then the
That's right, thank you.
second question is getting understanding a little bit more on the traffic calming. I know last time, Mayor Nickerson, you mentioned about the aggressive,
That was
Right.
just
Speed
discussed in the
control.
previous committee meeting in the public safety,
the
yeah.
aggressive one by the chief, trying to get more detail what that meant, right?
So,
those are my questions.
so, Mr. Chair, if I may?
Go ahead.
So in the Public Safety Committee meeting, we spoke about the traffic calming issues. And so we're doing a plethora of things. We have the manager's going to come back with 3 quotes for a traffic study, because we need to at least look into a traffic study if we're going to do that. If it's cost, if the cost seems like it's right, to be able to have any potential of lowering speed limit, which a lot of people talk about throughout the village. We also, Vice Mayor Urban brought up a bunch of good ideas, and we're also going to look at individuals in their own homes being able to put out approved signage, because the village manager came back and told us that the county informed her that there's a lot of signage that's not approved. So we're going to go back and try to get some approved signage. And Vice Mayor Urban brought up a very good point, which was maybe we can create a sign that's particular and special for El Portal and give out to El Portal residents, so that it's kind of like, it kind of reminded me of the whole thing with like what we did in the ALE committee with the blue street signs, so that if we get a particular signage that can go in El Portal families' homes about, that just kind of acknowledges or catches attention of drivers to slow down, that, once they get into El Portal, they'll see that signage and know that they're in a community that has come together against speeding and for traffic safety. And there were a couple other things that we discussed. There was a plethora of things that we said we were going to do all at the same time, and just try to start everything so we can attack speeding from all angles. So there's a lot of things.
Also, we wanted to maybe consider the painting of intersections. We just have to have that approved by the county as well, but that's on the list too.
Yeah, but sorry to come back and say, I understand you had 2 long-term approaches. I understood from that council meeting, you introduced 2 long-term approaches, which it seems like to me like the study would be one, right? Also the ideas from Councilperson Anders, right? Urban, right, that would be. But then there was also the third one, which was more the aggressive one, right?
So,
and that's where I would
so
from the PD, right?
Yeah, so Councilperson Urban, his is more of even it's a long term, but it's something that can be done fairly quickly. So in a sense, it's a long term, but it's kind of like it could be done within the short term. But I think what you're referring to is more of our police officers getting involved more often with those type of speeding situations. And the chief is not here tonight because it's his birthday today. Okay. He has the details more on that. And so if he was here, he'd be able to speak more on that. Now, as I said last time, though, we can't ever give out the information exactly where we're going to do it, what day we're going to do it, and things like that, because then, we can't let those secrets out, because we want to catch the speeders. These are public meetings. We don't want that out. But that is being implemented. What you're asking about is definitely being implemented.
No, and I totally agree. We don't want to give it like the recipe out, right? How we do it, but just give it a high level. Like, this is what. But we're implementing. We're not going to be providing any time frames, right? But
it is being implemented, and not only is it going to be implemented even more, but also though the chief has started the process where it's starting to make a difference, because we're getting a lot of emails in from residents from certain streets saying, "Chief, look at this," and people are even taking pictures of the police officers out there doing stuff and thanking us for it. Correct, Madam Mayor, Madam Manager, thanking us for it. So it's starting up. It might not have been here, so you might have seen it yet. But there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be looking into and really pushing down on.
All right.
So like I said in the public safety meeting, man, I'm just trying to look to attack the traffic situation and attack speeding from all angles. So from every angle on every level. So just have everything working at the same time so we can do as much as we can.
All right.
All right. Appreciate you, my brother.
So we'll be hearing more. Does that mean we don't want to get the details, but eventually you will come up and kind of sort of explain a little, or?
I think what I'm hoping is that not only will we can give as much information out as possible next committee meeting, but what I'm hoping is that we'll have more stories of results that we've been getting, because we've been getting all these emails with all these results, and we've been, from people that were the ones that, have been the most adamant about speeding and traffic, and we've been getting thankful emails about it. So it's being implemented in different areas. So hopefully we'll have more good news for you next time. I appreciate you, Councilperson Dre. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, this. Oh.
Okay, update on the tot lot. Yes, so we got a nice email and a photo from former councilperson Dreyer showing me the tot lot gate. There was one of the
bar missing.
bars was taken down. I don't know where it happened to it or where it ended up, but we have our fence contractor. They will be starting this week to replace it. I don't know why it's taken so long, but they're ordering certain parts, and I think we just need to have the whole thing replaced, which I'm not adverse to, but we did pay for the deposit today, and so he'll start the work this week for that. So it's
Perfect.
coming.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Go ahead.
very quickly.
No problem.
Mr. Chair and Councilperson Member Martin, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but because remember the whole thing with the tot lot has been an ongoing thing about how it's not open, and residents are really they're really engaged in that conversation, and up until now we haven't we've been saying, like we said last council meeting, that because of price, because of we don't have the cleaning crew and things like that we haven't been able to open it. But just sitting here right now on the tot lot coming up, I'm starting to think that we should at least look into the pricing of if we have to have a cleaning crew clean the tot lot. What do you guys think about that? Like, because if the village manager even just reaches out to a couple cleaning companies just to see what it would cost, as far as like we would be just within the realm of the county and the state of Florida, as far as Governor DeSantis and what he came down with. In the realm, it costs nothing for us to at least look into it and see how much it would cost. And if the manager could maybe bring that to the full council, then we can make a decision of, well, that costs a lot. Like we can't,
Right.
Or that. But I think that in a way, we might do a kind of a disservice to the villagers, to our residents, to at least take a look
And try.
and at least
yeah.
try and get some
Right.
quotes. So the next time residents ask us, we could say, well, you know what? It was way too much. It cost this much. But if we don't even have that information, we should at least get that information.
Well, I'm sorry if it could be. I mean, for some residents that have kids and stuff, maybe if they charge us $3,000, $4,000, might not be enough for them. But to stress out our budget,
But I think we should have that
we should-
conversation with the numbers in front of us, right?
Right.
So at least we have something in front of us. I don't know if.
Yeah, no,
Councilperson-
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I don't think it
It will hurt
hurts to look
to
into
look
it.
into.
However, what I do want the numbers for is not like the minimum level of like cleanliness. I want it to be like aggressive, because what we don't want to do is give people a false sense of security
Absolutely.
that this structure is safe. And we all know, I might know more than most, little people are hard to control.
Absolutely.
I don't know how you, at least with my boys, I don't know how you conceivably keep them distant.
Absolutely.
And if you see your child getting into some sort of danger, I don't know if the first thing on your mind is, hey, let me keep my distance from this person.
Absolutely.
So I do think we should look at it, but look at it in a way where we are not lulling people into thinking that this is absolutely like completely safe, letting them know that there are still some risks, but we are looking at the aggressive level of like cleanliness for this structure, and then let parents decide what they want to do with their kids,
Yes, and if just to add to that, I had sent an email to the manager and the lawyer, Geller, asking for possibilities to, and probably create sort of rules and regulations and post it before you enter the park, and how to clean it and this and that, and probably having kids, but then it's hard to have a few kids without parent supervision, and having no more than a few parents inside, just
Yeah.
to keep. And
the
the
tot lot is
answer
tiny.
was like it's a big liability. So lawyers here, I don't know if you can talk to that, add to anything to that, having trying or the manager, yes.
And just
if you
because
can,
I've been doing the meetings as a part of our emergency management team and with the county emergency, Office of Emergency Management, there are guidelines. It has to be clean in a certain way. So it doesn't matter what we think we can do, it has to be done the way the CDC has outlined.
Right.
And per executive order for Miami-Dade County. And if it's not, then it has to be closed, and
Yeah.
that's why we have not opened, because we can't do it the way they want it done.
And my job
So-
for retail, I'm sorry, is
Yeah.
we have to clean every 2 hours. All the handles, all the surfaces where people touch it, the handles of the and doors and everything, so.
Yes, sir. Well,
Yeah.
so we would have to do it as prescribed, but on top of that, the management of the people, we would need someone here to say it can only be X amount in this park, and you have
Right.
to have the social distancing. And that's the other thing. Now, maybe we could do the at your own risk. I would, I would be a little leery of doing that. I don't want to open us up to any situations where we're, liable for something because someone gets sick. So it's not only the cleaning, but it's also maintaining the social distance in the smaller group.
Yeah, I just want us to be cautious of like working backward. Everybody's fatigued with the situation. Like, no one wants their kids like 24 hours. I mean, we love our kids, but we're seeing a lot of them. But we don't want to do something that like puts us back, right? And kind of extends the amount of time that we have to experience this. So if you do want some numbers to combat it, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I say include in that number the cost of staff as well that will be needed to like man this situation if we open up the floodgates. So, yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just to wrap this up, I think that we should at least just get the numbers, because I think that we need to have that to, so that when the residents call us, we can say, well, look, we did the research, this is why we didn't go for it, this is why we did go for it, these were the numbers. It was, it was way more costly than we would have anticipated. So at least we have that, because if we don't get those solid numbers and have that discussion, then we're gonna have residents continue to think that we just don't want to open it up. And that's not what it is, you guys, and we need to show them that we're trying to be as safe as possible. So, I just think that if the manager could come back and try to get that for the full council meeting, those,
I have no
quotes.
problem. I'll get those numbers.
I think that would be good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Council President.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Manager.
You have to follow every guideline or you open the city up to liability.
All right.
Whatever different layers of guidelines for regulations are.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Okay, anybody else have anything else to say? We're in good and welfare. Hear from nobody. Madam Clerk, can we have an adjournment, right?
I'll motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we'll. Do I get a second to adjourn meeting,
Yes.
public meeting?
Second.
Okay, adjournment, second by, Councilwoman Martin. Madam Clerk, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, the public meeting, committee meeting is adjourned at 8:45 PM.